Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today, I couldn't be happier to announce that we are doing 1993's A Bronx Tale.
You know what, Armando? The working man is a sucker. He's a sucker.
The working man is a sucker.
He's a sucker.
Sonny was right. The working man is a sucker, Daddy.
Obviously, with the intro, you could tell that I kind of sort of still like this movie after all these years.
I'm iffy.
I know. You can't really tell, but you'll be able to tell here in a second.
Sonny, did you hear that?
If you'd like to reach out to me or Corey on Twitter, you could reach out to me at Junior D's. You could reach out to Corey at Idle Poncho. And let's get this thing off and running. 1993's A Bronx Tale. This film stars Chazz Palminteri as Sonny, Robert De Niro as Lorenzo the bus driver, Lillo Brancato as Calogero, and Terrell Hicks as Jane.
We also got to give props to Catherine Narducci, C's mom.
Yes.
Fucking fantastic actress.
Yes.
Recently, she was in The Irishman. She played Joe Pesci's wife.
Yep.
I would love to see her not typecast in a mob wife role. Because I just want to. She can really act her ass off, but she's always in that role. She's already Bugo's
really
wife.
good.
She's fucking Lorenzo the bus driver's wife.
Yeah.
She's fucking Joe Pesci's wife.
Yeah. No, she's a great actress. So yes, props to her. But dude, let's jump into this because this was Chazz Palminteri's like baby. He wrote the screenplay for this. I think you said it was adapted on Broadway, off Broadway, whatever.
It was on.
Okay.
It was on the big street.
I never saw it, so it didn't exist. It was off Broadway to me.
Well, you see, when you're in the upper class, you get some tickets. I recently fell into some Hamilton seats for the 7th time, and I was like, no, I can't possibly do this, so I donated them to the Boys and Girls Club of America.
The opening of this movie opens with a voiceover by Calogero. He's got the little narration. We're introduced to the 1960s Bronx, Italian men romancing their women.
Get in the fucking car!
No!
Get in the car!
Short story. I lived for a brief time in Quincy, Massachusetts. And when I was there, I lived right across the street from a diner. And so every once in a while on Saturday or Sunday morning, you would literally hear people going, come back here and eat your sandwich. Get back here and finish your sandwich. I'm not going to fucking do this. Dude, it was the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life. So that like scene just took me way back to that.
It picks up with Calogero at age 9. He's intrigued by Sonny, and all his friends are intrigued by Sonny and his crew. They hang out at the Chez Bip, the bar next door to where they live.
Dude, the names of the social clubs. It's fucking fantastic. My God.
So I will say this just giving you a little background. My father also attended a social club for Italians that grew up in his area in Italy. And there's a lot of, let's just call them similarities between a lot of things that I saw in this movie and a lot of the things I saw as a child growing up. So this is where we're introduced to all the gangsters. So we have Tony the Toupee, Jojo the Whale, Frankie Coffee Cake, Jimmy Whispers. Can I just say this? And I get it. Italians in this movie, in the 60s overall, aren't portrayed in the best of lights. But the one thing you can say about Italians, we are the best nicknamers in the goddamn universe.
They're not super imaginative, but they hit home with everybody. And Frankie Coffee Cake, by the way, best fucking name for a gangster ever. Why'd they call him Frankie Coffee Cake? Because his face was all fucking pop-marked. It's amazing.
Yes.
That's
so
such
good.
a good nickname. I'd be so pissed if that were my nickname.
Yes.
Thank God it's not.
And then you obviously have Mush, who everybody's got that guy in their crew.
Dude, I was going to say, outside of Now You Can't Leave, and maybe even the door test, which we'll get to,
Yeah.
I think mush is maybe one of the quietest things that has stayed very relevant about this movie, because every crew, somebody is nicknamed Mush because they are horrible at gambling. And it doesn't matter if you're in a crew of 3, a crew of fucking 10, it doesn't matter. You have a mush. And they call them Mush. And it's because of this movie. So great.
Yeah. I had a losing streak at one point in my younger career, and I was nicknamed Mush for a little bit. So
I like.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't fun.
No, I nicknamed my dick Mush for a little bit, but that's a totally different story.
So C's mom, Calogiro's mom here, catches him at the bar right at the beginning, snatches him up. His dad, Lorenzo, the bus driver, they're trying to, and De Niro here is trying to separate himself from those guys. He knows them, like a lot of people in the neighborhood. He knows them, he respects them, but he doesn't want to be included in the shit that goes on at the bar. Which, again, in many Italian-American communities, especially throughout the 60s, the 70s, hell, even through when I grew up, you had a lot of Italian-American families that had fathers like mine that were like, we don't talk about what they do. We don't care what they do. All we know is that they do stuff and we just don't want to be associated. And that's it. And that's as far as the conversations ever went.
It's interesting. If you've seen our Boys in the Hood review, Lorenzo is very similar to Furious.
Yes.
In that regard. Like, all they're trying to do is keep their son out of the shit. They don't care what anybody else is doing. You don't fuck with me. I don't fuck with you. Nothing but respect. Leave this kid out of it.
Because they tell Calogero here that you're not allowed to leave the stoop. Every time he leaves the stoop, they say, yep, come back here, sit down, sit your ass, and don't move from the stoop. So while on the stoop and listening to his parents, he witnesses an incident, quote unquote, over a parking space where Sonny shoots a dude in the head and kills him.
And you just called that shit an incident with the tone of a question.
Yes, I did.
Boy, somebody's slipping. Somebody's going back to the neighborhood, aren't they?
Say what you want to say. I'll continue to move on with my story.
I ain't saying shit. I'm just pointing out. I'm observing, and that's it.
So I do have questions about this, not this scene, but the scene that follows. Calogero sees this, right? His dad goes and gets him, brings him upstairs. Sonny eyeballs him. He gets up to his apartment, and the cops are already knocking on the door very aggressively. In a matter of 30 seconds, they already have a witness, multiple witnesses that dimed out Calogero as he was sitting on the stoop right in front of the action. And then the cops take him downstairs and they have a 9-year-old point out the guy who pulled the trigger in front of the whole neighborhood. I got so many questions. And again, I know it was, 1960-ish here. And I know that things were different in how, people handled children apparently in a murder rap. But dude, seriously? And my son will come down. Let me hold his hands. Get the fuck out of my apartment, you piece of shit. The fuck, the kid didn't see nothing. I didn't see nothing. Get the fuck out. Done.
Yeah, again, this is sort of like, things have changed, have they? Because my guess is if there's a shooting like in the south side of Chicago, let's say, and a little minority kid witnesses it, open up the fucking door. Your kid's coming downstairs. Look at all these gangsters. Tell us which one did it, little boy. Okay, get the fuck out of here. Hey, you nerds should turn yourselves in. I don't know why you don't want to clean up your own neighborhood.
He goes downstairs. He doesn't drop dime on Sonny because, as he says, there's nothing lower than a rat. This is instilled in you from the time you're born with all your friends. Don't rat out your friends. Don't rat out your neighbor. Like, you keep your mouth shut and you look the other way.
Takashi, I know you watched the show, dog. We should have got this out to you earlier. I'm sorry.
Dude.
With your cheese-eating ass.
So, His father then tells him that he did a good thing for a bad man.
I love that line.
This is how some Italians dealt with talking about the mob. You did a good thing for a bad man. It was in this very vague, it was all a gray area. We don't talk in specifics. I'm just going to say you'll understand when you get older and you did a good thing for a bad man. That's it. All right, what's for supper? Like,
yeah. Well, what else is there to say? How do you explain to a 9-year-old that if you did the right thing,
yes,
we're all dead?
Yes.
Really? Well, he don't know nothing about that.
Here, Lorenzo, and this movie is just littered with cool sayings and advice. And really shitty sayings and bad advice. But here, his dad gives him the saddest thing in life is wasted talent speech, which is awesome.
The incredible thing what Chazz and De Niro did here with this movie is setting up Lorenzo with 9-year-old C.
Yeah.
As well as Sonny. Sonny's, you kind of get the idea or the impression that Sonny's just kind of using C. He's recruiting him, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? Throughout most of this movie, that's kind of where it looks like that's going. And Lorenzo is just, he's enamored with his son. He loves his son. Why'd you lie, son? I don't know, Dad. Took a shot. Yeah, he took a shot. What do you want me to do? That's, that kind of shit is like a true father-son bond that exists. And they do such a great job in setting it up where C decides he's going to start going left instead of right. And it's just ripping Lorenzo's heart out.
Yeah.
And you just follow along with it. Like every time as teenage C is being a little dickhead to Lorenzo, you're just like, oh my God, dude, what is wrong with you? It's heartbreaking. They did such a great job with this movie.
And then Sonny recognizes that the kid didn't drop dime. So then he has Jimmy Whispers go to Lorenzo while he's on the bus and tries to recruit him to run numbers for him. You just got to pick up a piece of paper. You pick it up here. You drop it off down the street. Everything's good. $150 a week, yada, yada. And he says, no, not for me.
I just can't do it. It's not for me, so.
And the great scene is when him and his wife are talking about it when he gets back home. And she's like, I mean, it's $150 a week. It's not like we can't use the money. She does such a good job in that scene.
Oh, my God.
They both do. But she does a fantastic job because that's the fucking struggle in that life is the money's good. You're only doing this. You're just taking a piece of paper. You're not shooting anybody. Like,
right. And that's what's so great about, again, this scene, like you were saying, is they set it up where a 20-year-old in that situation is going to be like, fuck yeah, I'm doing that. Easy money. I do this for you. I'm in with somebody. I can hold my head a little higher. I'm not just a bus driver anymore.
Yeah.
But Lorenzo is an experienced man. He's got a family. He's seen what that life ends up like 9 times out of 10.
Yes.
And he doesn't want anything to do with it. And his wife, who's probably seen the exact same shit, but is also considering, I'm in this tiny ass apartment. You're working 7 days a week driving that goddamn bus.
Yep.
Like we're struggling to put food on the table. That money could help.
Yeah.
It's such a great, real conversation that every actual adult couple would have.
After this, there's just these great little scenes that they pepper throughout this. Cogito goes to confession. For those non-Catholics out there, it's when you go and confess your sins. And as Cogito says here, you get to, as a Catholic, you get to start all over. Here's my sins, say 10 Our Fathers and 3 Hail Marys, and you're good. That's it. You start over for the next week. And it's the little scene.
Asterisk.
It's the scene where, the father's like, what'd you say? And he's like, well, listen.
Your guy's bigger than my guy up there. But my guy's bigger than your guy down here.
The line is delivered. I loved Cogito as a little kid. He's
that
awesome.
Kid should have won an Oscar.
Yes. He's
that was
fantastic.
Like Anna Paquin in the piano good.
Yeah. They should have just waited until he grew up to be 17 to finish filming this movie. Like, he's such a good actor.
They should have just shot it like they did that Boyhood movie with Patricia Arquette and Ethan Hawke.
He then meets Sonny for the first time. He starts waiting on guys during the craps game, making tips, giving them coffee and stuff. The crap scene is the absolute best. The whole put him in the bathroom thing.
Jojo, stop fucking breathing on me. You're killing me over here. I'm on a fucking win streak. Stop breathing on me, huh? Bobby, put him in the bathroom. Sonny. Frankie coffee cake, no good. I don't want his face looking at that face when he's throwing my dice. Put him in the fucking bathroom. Get him out of here. Come on.
Just that whole scene is fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know Italian people were so superstitious when it came to gambling.
We're superstitious
I don't
about
want
everything.
I don't want to look at that face when he's holding my dice. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. And what's so great about this scene, too, and I know it's just another tongue up of somebody's asshole. Get used to it. But you guys are requesting good movies. What do you want us to do?
Exactly.
But what's so great here is this is almost like a visual interpretation of C's question, which is, would you rather be loved or feared?
Yes.
Because if you're loved and you care about people loving you, you're not sticking a guy in the bathroom because he's fat and breathing on you. You're not putting a towel over your boy's face because he's ugly. You know, you're not stuffing mush into a fucking canister. Those are all your friends. You want them to love you. You're not doing that shit.
Yeah.
He wants to be feared. And because he is feared, he can do that.
Yes.
It's just a great, every scene leads to something else and is a callback to another scene earlier.
Sonny then gives Calogero the nickname C because he's like, the name's too long, it's too complicated, we'll just call you C. And from here on through the rest of the review, I will refer to him as C. Because C then becomes a rock star in the neighborhood. And after getting free peaches from the old dude who calls everybody Mary, he goes up to his apartment and his parents find his gangster roll of $600 in the early 60s. Like that's a shitload of money for a 9-year-old to have.
That's like a year and a half's rent.
Exactly. Lorenzo then freaks out, takes him down to the Shea Bip, gives the money back to Sonny. He then makes a huge mistake here and gets into it with Sonny at the bar. De Niro and C get into an argument outside the bar where he gives C the whole working man is the real man speech.
Mm-hmm. Slaps the shit out of him.
Yeah, smacks the shit out of him because basically he couldn't slap the shit out of Sonny because then you're dead. So,
exactly.
But again, and the whole thing, and it was kind of a funny and interesting scene because the whole time he wants to hit Sonny. He wants to fucking beat the shit out of him. Like, stay the fuck away from my son.
Yeah.
And he prefaces everything he's about to say with, listen, I know who you are and I know how, I know what you can do, but you stay the fuck away from my son.
Dude, this scene seems so, again, not a dad, but it seems so realistic.
Absolutely.
To how you would react in that situation. Like, even Catherine Narducci going, well, at least calm down.
Yes.
Don't go down there like this.
Yep.
Because, kids, this is a quick PSA. Hi, kids. Uncle Corey here. If you don't have an Italian friend, the term hot-headed was originated for them.
Yes.
I might be a racist for saying that. I might be a fucking prophet because I know it's fucking true. But that's why it was made.
When you get older, you'll understand why.
Listen to that guy. He knows what he's talking about. He's got one of them, and yeah, it's a problem. So we'll move on.
Oh, unfortunately, like 99% of my friends are fucking hot-headed Italians. That's why I spend my whole life with fucking agita. Ah!
Hey, there you go. So flash forward to 1968. C is 17. Sonny's risen to power. He's the new boss. And Sonny has been treating C like his own son for a number of years. I like the quote in this voiceover because as it transitions, you have C giving the voiceover and the narration. And he says,
There was change everywhere, but my neighborhood was still the same.
and it's such a good line because, again, you flash forward in that neighborhood, everything's the same. Nothing has changed. Especially their attitudes towards other people. So,
by other people, what do you mean?
I mean African American people who happen to live in the neighborhood right next door to them.
I watched the edited version of this, so I didn't see any of that.
You watched this on TNT. Good for you.
No.
They also show here, and getting to your point, C and his shithead friends started their own social club, doing what Italians in 1968 did, catcalling, being racist, and talking dumb shit like the Mario test.
If this girl goes down on the old Braggio, knowing that guy in the truck is watching, then she's a pig and she can't be trusted.
The brilliance in the filmmaking and the writing of this movie is scene leads to something else later down. Every scene is almost foreshadowing for something else. And they disguise it so well in these little comedic moments, like the Mario test, where you're just like, Mario's a fucking idiot. We all knew a guy like that, but he's, they were fucking idiots too. Yeah. Fine. But it leads to the more important door test.
Yes.
Which is so amazing, and we'll get to that later. But just dude,
and
his friends are dog shit.
Yeah, and you get later on, you get Sonny, and he was like, "Oh, you talking about the Mario test?" When C says, "You talking about the Mario test?" and he's like, "Fucking Mario's a psycho." Like, you already know. It's really weird because Sonny's the boss. Sonny's, a man to be feared. But Sonny's also one of the most enlightened out of everybody in this entire movie.
Oh, 100%.
And one of the most progressive in the entire neighborhood, if you listen to what he's saying. But this here, when we see him at the social club, we see him running over to the bus to go catch his dad. This is the first time we get the visual of C running. And oh my God, again, we don't talk about actors and good actors and bad actors. We'll compliment people, but I don't like to shit on people that could do things better than I can. So, but, and you and I talked about this a little bit. On set running is different than actually running. However, dude, this is literally the worst bit of running that we have ever seen in any movie that we have reviewed thus far.
Yeah, Grissom from Fear should have been his dad instead of Lorenzo the bus driver. And what Armando means here by on-set running is when you're on a movie set, you have marks. There's little X's of tape. And so your goal is to hit your mark. And if you hit your mark, you're going to be right where the director wants you, where the other actor needs you to be. All your eye lines and everything else will match up perfectly. So it's very difficult to convincingly run.
You're always right. You're always right.
However, numerous people have done it. So there's no excuse. I don't care if it's your first time or not. You are around some of the greatest actors of our time. Yes. Even Joe Pesci's in this fucking movie for 15 seconds. Somebody could have taught you to run. Hi, kids. Uncle Cord. If you've ever watched a lot of movies starring Italian people, they can't run. That's why you keep them as friends, because when their hotheads blows up and you're about to get into some shit, you'll at least be able to run away while they're trying to figure out how to make their arms and legs move in sync. So that's the way to go.
Hey, I've seen Tom Cruise run in many movies, and he runs fantastic.
I forgot we did put an asterisk on everybody with a vowel at the end of their name being Italian. Ergo, some Italians can run.
Exactly. After this, he gets on the bus with his dad, and he sees Jane for the first time. There's an instant attraction, but like he says in the movie,
she was black. And that was a no-no in my neighborhood.
But Sonny and C then here, they get even closer. Sonny continues to give C life advice. Louis owes him $20, and he keeps ducking C. And Sonny tells him that he got off cheap.
Look at it this way. It costs you $20 to get rid of him. Right? He's never going to bother you again. He's never gonna ask you for money again. He's out of your life for $20. You got off cheap. Forget it.
Which is probably the best advice that you could give somebody. Like,
100%.
that's it. That's awesome advice. We then get the biker scene. So as Sonny continues to dole out a lesson about availability and being available, these bikers come into the Shea Bip, and Sonny gives them a chance to be decent people and not be assholes because they have a reputation for breaking up bars and yada yada. So they totally piss on that chance. And the scene really begins after Sonny asks them to leave and they refuse. Because then Sonny walks to the door and locks the door and says,
Now you can't leave.
If you've never seen this movie for any minute, watch this one scene, because holy shit, if you have never had an opportunity in your life to feel that cool and that powerful and that in control for even that minute amount of time, that 15 seconds where you say those words,
yeah,
I really wish you the best of luck trying to achieve that, because holy shit, is that amazing.
Yes. And if that line wasn't amazing enough, they then beat the shit out of all the bikers. They drag them out from the bar. And then Sonny delivers another banger of a line here when he says,
Look at me. I'm the one who did this to you. Remember me.
Like,
meanwhile, the rest of the neighborhood, trying to look good in front of Sonny, finishes the job and is literally kicking the shit out of them down the street as they're running away.
Yes.
This is amazing, and kudos to the bikers, by the way, in this scene, because during C's narration, he talks about how, you know, the all the power and all the confidence drained from their faces, and it was just fear because they knew they had fucked up and walked into the wrong bar. The way they were able to show that on their faces without saying another word in that entire scene was amazing. For what it essentially amounted to extras, they did a fantastic job. Oh,
incredible job. And after this, C then sees Jane at school. And this time he's torn because he's there with his shithead friends, and, you know, the general view towards interracial couples wasn't awesome at the time. So he finally decides to talk to her when no one's around outside of the school, and he walks her home.
PSA, hi kids, Uncle Corey. If you're afraid to talk to somebody in front of your friends because of how your friends will react, ditch those fucking friends. They're pieces of shit. I don't give a fuck. They might, you're gonna get your balls busted a little bit. Everybody gets their balls busted no matter what they do with your friends. It's gonna happen. Gonna happen. However, if you are legitimately like, well, my friends wouldn't like this because this wasn't the social norm. Fuck those motherfuckers. You don't need them. Yep. Live your life. Don't make decisions based on what other people who don't give a shit about you think.
She here asks him out to the movies because she likes Italians, as we all do. So they then get to her neighborhood, and he stops short as he gets mean mugged and comments from the dudes outside the bar in her neighborhood.
Nobody really knows this. This is the first time I'm showing this footage. But this is footage of Armando at his house when Jane says, I like Italians.
Then we get the scene outside the social club where C's jack-off friends beat the shit out of the black dudes riding their bikes through the neighborhood. And we see this shit build up through the movie. We see the car come through, and what the fuck are they doing in our neighborhood? And then, you know, you see him again, and they're like, Jesus Christ. C's kind of a bitch here. But here, he's like, and this is a total Italian thing. What do you care? They're not bothering you.
Right.
What do you give a shit? Are they bothered? They're not bothering me? Why are they bothering you? Like that, it's like that back and forth is such an Italian-American back and forth, which made me laugh in that little piece.
Oh, but then and that's actually very true. I can attest to that, because when younger Corey would get drunk, younger Armando would be like, what the fuck are you doing? The fuck are you messing with those two guys? They ain't fucking with you. Leave them alone. So that really happens.
It really does. I'm pretty sure I pulled out the line with you. What? They're not bothering me. They bothering you?
I'm like, no, I'm gonna fucking kick their ass. You're like, no, come on.
That guy looked over here. So C doesn't really do anything to prevent it, but he really can't do anything. He just sits on the one dude and tells him, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you. And then Sonny gives C shit for the whole altercation and also tells him to fuck his psycho friends and whatever they think about interracial couples, because you're only allowed 3 great ones in your life. And if she's one of the great ones, who gives a shit? And he goes into that whole thing. And you're like, this is where you're like, I know Sonny's the scary guy. He's the mob boss, but you're like, he's the most fucking enlightened out of them all.
Right. Well, this is also where you see, one, he's enlightened because you find that, he's reading Machiavelli in prison. He doesn't give a fuck who you're laying down with at the end of the night because, like you said, he's not a hypocrite. You do what the fuck you want to do. Just don't look at me. But this is also where we see Sonny really show that he's not trying to recruit C. He's known the whole time, and you get a glimpse of this during the biker fight too, where C isn't made for this life.
Exactly.
And Sonny knows that. He just wants to keep this kid sharp. Like he says, get 2 educations. I'm going to teach you the street, but you keep your ass in school.
Yep.
Because you're a smart kid. You can go anywhere you want to go. Same thing Lorenzo told him. Yep. So I really like where they just finally break that, where it's like, oh shit, he's not trying to mold him into anything. He just wants him to be better than he is. Same thing as Lorenzo wants.
Yep. And then you have C picking up Jane to go to the movies in Sonny's car. That doesn't go well. Her brother was one of the kids that was riding the bike. They got the shit beat out of him. So he tells her that C was one of the kids that beat him up. They have their interaction. C's defending himself. And then he drops the ill-advised N-word here during the heated argument. And you get him go, see, this is what I'm fucking talking about. And they bounce.
Yep.
And then that's never brought up for the rest of the movie. I'm like, I would still have a fucking issue with that.
Yeah, Jane comes up and she's like, oh, my brother lied. It's all good. It is?
Yeah.
It's like,
exactly.
I would almost rather have been beat up than have you call me that.
Yeah, no, that was
whether or not you're thinking it, I'm going to maybe assume you were thinking it.
Yeah.
Because I'd probably assume all white people in the 60s were thinking it.
Yeah.
But you at least have the fucking courtesy not to fucking say it out loud. Like, Jesus Christ, dude, what the fuck is your problem?
Yeah.
And then she's just like, oh, it's cool. He was lying. He was just mad at you.
C drops the car off with Sonny. He goes home. His dad gives him another speech about wasted talent because he saw him driving Sonny's car. C leaves the house. Sonny tracks him down, smacks the shit out of him because they found a bomb under the hood of the car. And this is where C realizes that Sonny fucking doesn't trust anybody. C runs away from that situation. And then his friends have him come along as they steal a car and they're set to firebomb the black neighborhood. Sonny then tracks C down again. He takes him out of the car and basically saves his life because they continue their mission to go firebomb the black neighborhood. And, one of the bottles doesn't break and the dude picks it up, tosses it back into their car, and they all die. I know that's a lot, all packed into one little sequence, but to unpack a little bit of it here, I understand the time in the early 60s, the late 60s, you grew up, times were different. I know people use that shit a lot to excuse shit, but here's the thing. I know the way people thought about others, there was obviously discrimination and, oh, I'm not going to hire you because you're this, that, or the other. But firebombing people? What is this, fucking Beirut? What?
Yeah.
That whole thing.
Molotov cocktails.
That's what I'm saying.
To burn people alive.
Exactly. So, and Sonny basically saves his life here because he pulls him out and he's like, what the fuck are you doing with those guys? They're going to get you killed.
What's amazing here and I don't know. I honestly don't know how they captured it. As somebody who fancies themselves a writer,
Yeah,
I would love to sit down and figure out how they went back and channeled how a teenager going through some shit, like he had a bad night with Jane, his actions, repercussions are coming back. You know what I mean? Like he's starting already to have a fucking horrible night.
yes,
And then he gets hit with Lorenzo. His dad doesn't recognize that, he's in a shitty fucking mood, and he knows he fucked up and blah, blah, blah. And he just is riding him. He feels ignored. So he leaves there. Sonny fucking grabs him. Feels even more ignored because now he's even more dejected. It's just like the way he captured a teenager in peril, for lack of a better word, was incredible. Like you actually felt it for C. Like you had like a Pavlovian response.
yes.
To what he was going through right there. It was amazing.
Jane then shows up at the Shea Bip looking for C. She tells him that her brother told her the truth, that C actually tried to help him. Apparently she didn't care about the whole argument from earlier. And after they kiss, C then remembers that, oh my God, my friends are going to firebomb your neighborhood, so we should probably get there. And they're too late. His jerk-off friends are already fucking dead. Fuck them. They're all, who gives a shit? C then leaves because A, tensions are a little high there. And so he starts to leave to go thank Sonny. And again, runs like a Momo here all the way back to his neighborhood and the bar.
Yeah, and there was no mark to hit here. You're just running. Like, this is a long shot of him running literally down the block.
This is a long shot of him. He's just running. Exactly. When C gets there, he sees Sonny get murdered by the guy's son from the beginning who was shot by Sonny. You want to talk about full circle and coming back and just wow. Like when I first saw it, wow. When I saw it now, I obviously knew it was coming, but man, it still gets me every single time.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. Like
it really is.
It's absolutely heartbreaking because even before the funeral scene, nobody cares.
Mickey Mantle don't care about you, so why should you care about him? Nobody cares.
Nobody else saw this fucking guy coming in except for the one kid that gave a fuck about him.
Yep.
Exactly. Nobody else cared.
Yeah, and I love how they set it up. Everybody at the bar is laughing and smiling, and all I could see is this one face wasn't smiling, and then by the time I realized what was going on, it's too late. And then we cut to Sonny's funeral, and at the funeral, he meets the man who Sonny was protecting at the beginning, and it's Joe Pesci. And you also get Lorenzo talking to Sonny in the casket, and like the whole fucking ending piece, the way it's brought together is so incredible.
I really, really like the Lorenzo coming in and, I'm here to pay respects to your friend. I was just like, oh, fuck. Like that really got me, that one line. Yep. And unfortunately, C fucked it up because, Lorenzo's like, I'm going to wait over here for you, son, which I also thought was cool. Like, I'm not leaving until you're leaving. I'm walking you home.
Yeah.
So I thought was really dope. It was a very father-son moment. But then, of course, C fucks up. He's like, did you hear that, Sonny? He didn't hate you.
Sonny, did you hear that? My father didn't hate you.
I didn't like the line, period. It should have just ended with that, and we move on to the end. But, dude, all in all, this movie it was a banger then. It's a banger now. I know the representation isn't awesome of the Italian American community, but back then nobody was
honest.
No, it is unflinchingly honest. But nobody back then was super open-minded. But it's incredibly accurate for the time, and it literally, like, I had flashbacks throughout this, like little scenes and little, like, the bar and some of this movie's just fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic movie, and again, a lot of the language, and it is very cringeworthy, especially when you figure out, like, it's coming from what is 14-year-old, 16-year-old kids.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
but also I respect anybody that doesn't shy away from what their life was like growing up. And this is what his life was like, being Chazz Palminteri, what his life was like growing up.
Yeah.
He's not sugarcoating it. He's not pretending like, you know, Lorenzo the bus driver doesn't give some beautiful soliloquy about fucking Martin Luther King and I Have a Dream and any of that. He doesn't. That wasn't in their world. Why would he? You know what I mean?
Exactly. No,
so
this
I respect it for that fact, and it's so well written. It's a beautiful coming of age tale, and it equates. I don't give a fuck what race you are. You can put it in any genre of what your race's gangsters or mafia version is.
Yeah.
And it applies.
Absolutely. No, this movie, top to bottom, still holds up, is fantastic. And here's the other thing, and this is why, like, especially with Lillo Brancato, this was his first acting role. Like, he auditioned for this. There was a bunch of Chazz he didn't want actors for this. He wanted somebody, a fresh face. And so he held this huge, basically, call in the neighborhood. Like, hey, come audition for this. We need an Italian-American kid to play C at 17. And if you watch, there's a documentary called Wasted Talent, and it's about Lillo Brancato. They talk about the whole casting call, and this was his first acting job. So, yeah, he didn't hit his marks running. I can make fun of that all day. It was his first acting gig. I don't think he'd ever run before then. So I'm assuming it was his first acting gig and it was his first time running. So I'm not gonna totally shit on him for it.
I'm very confident in making fun of him over his running because I'm confident he cannot catch me. So I'm good to go. I can outrun that motherfucker any day of the week.
Fair enough. And I think that it might be on Netflix or Amazon Prime. I'm not sure. But if you haven't watched that documentary, definitely check that one out too.
That is on Amazon Prime.
Okay. There you go. You heard it straight from Corey's mouth, so it must be true. So for that, I don't have anything. Do you have anything else?
No, don't believe a word he says about me, though. Fuck.
All right. Well, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1993's A Bronx Tale.
Put him in the fucking bathroom. Get him out of here. Come on.